What is melody writing in a parallel period? That's the question of the day. How do you compose a four-measure phrase? I don't know. Let's figure it out. What's an antecedent and what's a consequent? Well, you're about to learn all that and three easy steps. And I also have a bonus tip for you, so be sure to stay to the end. I'm Glory St. Germain from Ultimate Music Theory, and one of the concepts that students often struggle with is composing. Where do we even begin? Well, today you're going to learn three easy steps to melody writing in a parallel period. And this correlates to level 5. So if you're doing the RCM theory exams in level 5, you absolutely need to know this. I want to welcome you. Thanks for joining me today. One of the questions that I have for you is how do you start composing? Just share with me, what is your experience as a composer? Where do you begin when you're writing a parallel period? Now, in the Basic Rudiments workbook, that's the yellow workbook, students are learning about identifying the key of a melody, scale degrees, and analysis. And we're going to be working through that today. We're also going to build on that foundation in the Basic Rudiments workbook, and we're going to use that in our Level 5 supplemental workbook to discover how you can use a simple process, we don't want to make this too complicated, to complete a four-measure phrase. So 2 four-measure phrases. A phrase is like a musical sentence. A phrase punctuates the music at the end with a question or a period, just as if we were having a conversation. So what's an antecedent and what's a consequent, and how do you even know the difference? So let's do a little exploring. We're going to get started today with step number 1. And so step number 1 is simply to determine the key of the given four-measure phrase. So let's check this out. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the key signature. And here we see that we have an F sharp in the key signature. So that only gives us 2 options, right? We are either in the key of G major, or we're in the key of the relative minor, which is E minor. So how do we determine if it's in a major key or in a minor key? Well, here's the little secret. If you're determining whether this is in a major or minor key, the first thing you want to do is look for the raised 7th note of the minor key. So G major or E minor, and the raised 7th note would be a D sharp. So as we explore the music, we'll get a look for a D. We found one and we found another one. So that tells us that there's no sharp, and therefore it's probably G major. And looking even further, we see that in the first measure, we're kind of outlining the notes of the G major triad. So that's our second clue that says, what key are you in? Step number 1, discover the key, and we're in the key of, drum roll, G major. Awesome. So now what's step number 2? So we know we're in the key of G major. So step number 2 is in a parallel period. The first four-measure phrase ends on an unstable scale degree of 2 or 7. So in G major, we know that this is our scale degree number 1. This is number 2. Here we have 3. And I will put in number 7, which is the, F sharp. And finally 8, which is also 1, right? That's our upper tonic at the top. So G major, the unstable scale degree 2 is A, and the unstable scale degree 7 is the F sharp. So in a parallel period, are you ready for this? The first four-measure phrase is called an antecedent. And the antecedent, drum roll please, asks a question. So a question phrase sounds like it's unfinished. It sounds open. It leaves you wondering. Same as if we're having a conversation, and if I said, "How are you?" that would be like an antecedent. I'm asking a question. So the antecedent or question phrase ends on an unstable scale degree. So here we look at the very end, and the last note ends on unstable scale degree number 2, which would be A. So let's just have a listen to that phrase to begin with. I wonder. It kind of leaves it open, right? So a parallel period consists of 2 phrases beginning with the same melodic and rhythmic pattern. So measures 1 and 2 are repeated in measures 5 and 6. So when we're writing a parallel period, we want to have the same melodic and rhythmic pattern, measures 1 and 2, with 5 and 6. So far, so good. In measure 7, we have to now introduce a new melodic pattern with the second phrase ending on a stable scale degree. So number 2 is unstable scale degree 2 or 7. We've discovered that's number 2, and we've copied the melodic and rhythmic pattern in the next measure. So now we're working on our third measure. So number 3, in a parallel period, the second 4-measure phrase ends on a stable scale degree. So what is a stable scale degree? It's 1 or 3. Okay, so we're doing great. 1 or 3. In G major, the stable scale degree 3 is B, and the stable scale degree 1 is G. So in a parallel period, the second 4-measure phrase, here's our first 4 measures, our second 4-measure phrase is called a consequent. So what is that? The consequent concludes the answer phrase. So antecedent asks a question, consequent concludes. Say it with me. Antecedent asks the question, consequent concludes. And that's why the answer phrase sounds final or closed. So here the consequent or answer phrase ends on stable scale degree number. Oh, look at that. I have an extra little bonus here. Number 1. Yay! We got that figured out. So now here's a little bonus tip. All right, so now here's the little bonus tip. After writing the melody in a parallel period using these 3 easy steps, so I'll just review them with you. Number 1, identify the key, and we determined that it's in the key of G major. Step number 2, determine the unstable scale degree ending the antecedent or the question phrase, and we determined that was unstable scale degree number 2. Number 3, and it could have been number 7 as well, either one is correct. Number 3 is copy the first 2 measures into the consequent or the answer phrase, so they're identical, and then complete the melody ending on a stable scale degree. Now remember that you really are only writing one little measure. You're just going to write measure number 7 and make sure that you're leading that to the tonic. We don't want to just have a leap or random octave in there. When you're first starting, it's best to just move by step or by skip by using chord tones. So we want to keep that KISS method, right? Keep it super simple. So now here's the bonus. All right, you ready for this? So the bonus tip is I want you to finger play the melody and listen for the sound in your head. So if you're going to finger play this, and I kind of played the antecedent, the question phrase for you first, it asks the question. But now when we're looking at the consequent, which concludes, that's the answer phrase, what do we notice if we were playing it in our head? Can you hear it? It's really important to tap it out on your fingers. We just want to see, can we hear it? And then go to the piano, go to the keyboard, and play the melody out loud. So here is the antecedent. And here is the answer phrase. Could you hear how that really made it sound finished, right? We've completed it, and we've included our unstable scale degree 2 or 7 and our stable scale degree 1. Now, I want to give you one more little bonus tip, and that is when you listen for the sound of the unstable scale degree at the end of the question phrase and the stable scale degree at the end of the answer phrase, I want you to explore playing and writing different variations of your answer phrase. Just remember to end on the stable scale degree of 1 or 3. Now, when you look in your answer book, you actually will see that there is one example of the answer, and go ahead and explore that and then try different variations, because it's really important for you to see and hear when you're writing your melody in a parallel period. In the answer book, you will see that all of the answers are written in by hand. So it makes it really easy. This is the one that we were doing today about antecedent asks the question and consequent concludes. So we were actually using the Ultimate Music Theory Level 5 supplemental workbook in order to complete our homework. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and comment and subscribe to our Ultimate Music Theory YouTube channel and also our Ultimate Music Theory Facebook group, because we release new videos every week. And I also wanted to share with you one of the great things that Sheila McKibben-Uren and we were the authors of the supplemental series. We actually also created a little tool for you, and that's the Ultimate Music Theory whiteboards. I highly recommend using this when you're first starting melody writing. You may have seen some of the other videos that we have on YouTube where students actually engage in using their whiteboard first, writing out their melody, maybe erasing it and trying another way to do it, and then playing it and then writing it in their workbook. So your ultimate whiteboard comes with a little eraser, dry erase marker, and there's actually a little ebook on different ways that you can use your whiteboard for learning music theory concepts. So that's a little perk for you at ultimatemusictheory.com. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Happy melody writing in your Level 5 Ultimate Music Theory Supplemental Workbook. And don't forget to grab your little answer book too, because you're going to see that one possible answer. So imagine, compose, and explore melody writing. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me. Bye now.